Hey everyone, this is Draz, and this is my first attempt ever at doing a video version of a battle report. Doing a battle report for the first full game of Malifaux that I ever played. Played it with my son, who goes by the name of Maltair in the online world. Say hello, Maltair.
Hello.
Okay, good job. Again, this is our first video, so there's probably gonna be a lot to criticize. Also, our first game. I'm sure we made a bunch of mistakes. Some of them we figured out, and I'll point them out as we progress through the video. If anybody's watching this and they catch any major rules errors that we've made in the game, go ahead and leave a comment, and that'd be helpful. I'd appreciate that. If you just want to leave comments to criticize and insult a random stranger because it makes you feel good about yourself, hey, good for you. Go for it. Ignore. Anyway, that aside, you've been staring at this table setup for long enough. Let's go ahead and I'll let you know what's going on. This is our table. It's actually a 4x6 table. For the sake of playing Malifaux on it, we went ahead and measured out a 3x3 foot section. You can see that we put these black dots on 12-inch intervals starting 6 inches in from the table. So on the 4-foot width, it creates a 3x3 foot playing area. These houses, they're balsa wood. Paid a whole 40 cents a piece for them at Michael's on a clearance sale, clearance rack. They look pretty good painted up. They're not done yet, but they're turning out pretty good. Those are just going to be line of sight blockers, and the not climbable and the fenced in areas here are going to provide 1-inch cover. These funny looking things here, it's just some interesting looking packing material that my wife brought home. I painted them up to make some mesas. Anyway, we're calling them mesas. And this climbable terrain, also line of sight blockers. Over here, this placemat, we decided to call it a swamp. It's going to be severe terrain. And over here we've got a homemade swamp that I made out of a few household items and one of those balsa wood shacks. That's actually a creepy structure. We're playing it as a creepy structure. And here we have a graveyard, which we're treating as a graveyard. As it turns out, neither one of those came into play in the game, but in future games, that's what those will be. First mistake we made that I didn't realize it until this evening before recording this video. For our strategy, we did reconnoiter. However, we did not do the shared version of reconnoiter, so the mechanics that would have ended up being a little bit different. For reconnoiter, it's basically you divide the table into quarters and you vie for control of the quarters, but we used the individual version and we played it using those rules instead of the shared version. But for the sake of quartering the table, this mark here is the center of the table, and I put little hash marks to show where the quarters are. So, onto our setup. I played using the Raspy box set. You can see that all the figures are assembled and primed. Because of the white primer, the flash kind of washed out the models a little bit, but that's okay. They'll start to look better as I paint them in future videos. For my deployment, there's Raspy, and there is my ice golem, and here are my 3 ice gammon on my side of the table. Maltair's playing with the Ramos box set. So over here in his deployment zone, here is Ramos. There's an arachnid swarm. It's the only completely painted model on the table. I finished that this weekend. Here's a steampunk arachnid executioner, and there's a single arachnid model. It's a total of 20 points? 22 plus and these are Sculpey clay that I baked, and I kind of balled them up a little bit, pressed a stamp on them. Used a wash of Minwax, and these are what we're using for soul stones. Try to have a lot of homemade stuff on our table just to make it a little bit more of a hobby, not just a game. Alright, we'll get started. The actual play-by-play here. Here's after the first round of activations. You can see we're just starting to advance forward. Kind of brings up the first question we had in the game. In both cases, you can see my gammon has moved forward here, as well as Maltair's executioner. I took, for my 2 action points, I did a walk move twice, so I moved a total of 8 inches. I didn't see anything in the rules that said that I couldn't do that, so if anybody knows better or different, if you can't do a double walk, then I broke the rules through the whole game. But anyway, for this turn I did a double walk with him. The executioner did a single walk and cast the steam cloud. And second round of activations, I advanced my my next gammon forward. and Maltaire back here, he summoned an electrical creation with Ramos. Did you move at all? Or is that all you did?
I attempted.
Oh yeah, that's right. You used that. What's that thing that you used? Scavenge under fire to give himself a scrap token. He attempted to summon an extra arachnid but failed, and so he summoned an electrical device within his executioner's steam cloud. Alright, moving on, continuing to advance. You can see that he took his, since the executioner was summoned this turn, it only gets one action point, and used it to electrical creation, what I call it? No, his electrical creation was summoned this turn. It only gets one action point, so we used that to move between the two cabins there, and I moved my next gammon forward. This is where I actually started to do something. First action of the game, I moved Raspy forward. Whoa, what did I just do? Back up, back up. Move forward, move forward. Okay. I moved Raspy forward. I think I did a double move. Actually moved her 6 inches forward. And then I'm a casting expert, so I get +1 cast, and I use that to cast Ice Pillars. These are 2 pieces of Sculpey modding clay that I made into 50mm discs and baked. They look kind of cool, easily stackable, easily transportable. And I put those near the center mark of the table just to give myself a kind of a safe spot to start assembling around. That's another one of the questions we are left with in the game, is the ice pillars. Under the rules, it doesn't say anywhere where they expire, so we went under the assumption that unless they're destroyed, they just stay on the table from turn to turn. So again, if anybody knows different, go ahead and leave a comment, and we'd appreciate that. Maltaire, what was he doing up here? It looks like he started to, what'd you do, move your arachnid behind? Oh, there's your arachnid. That's what you did that turn. You moved your single arachnid there, starting to come in between those structures. Let's see, next activation, you can see I've moved my, I keep wanting to say gremlin, it's my ice golem forward, and I think you've moved, what, your arachnid swarm? That's really a sharp looking model. I should provide a photo of that. That's a darn good paint job, if I do say so myself. I take pride in my humility. Alright, end of turn 1. Obviously nobody's in combat range yet. I guess even though this is my first full game, one thing I gathered is that the Raspy crew, any Raspy crew, is fairly slow unless you have stuff like the snowstorm to help speed you up a little bit. So neither one of us got within combat range. So moving on to turn 2. Let's see, Maltaire has moved his electrical creation forward. I moved Rasputina forward. And I went ahead and cast December Touch on this gammon right here. The reason why I did that, I have a secret scheme. It's called Stake a Claim, and the object is to pick a terrain piece on Maltaire's side of the table, and if I end the encounter in base contact with at least one of my models in base contact with that terrain piece, I get an extra victory point or 2. Anyway, I was going to take this gammon, the terrain piece that I chose, again keeping it secret from Maltaire, was I think you can see the cursor in this video, but it was this structure right here. So by giving to him, by giving this gammon December Touch, that gives him +2 armor, at least till the end of this turn. Next activation, let's see what's happened here. You've what'd you do here, Maltaire? Your swarms moved down. You're starting to get into position to move between these 2 structures, and I've moved my ice golem forward side by side with Raspy. Let's see, in this turn, now I've got my gammon charging forward. This is my move towards the structure to try to do my secret scheme. And what do you've got your arachnid moved down. Looks like you're trying to come around to line yourself up to come between these 2 structures, which I caught on to, and you'll see in a minute what I did to counter that. Let's see, at this point you've got your executioner moving between those 2 huts. Get yourself in position to attack me. Oops, I moved that out of the frame. And I've got this gammon moving forward. I moved him in position to take my first quarter. That's another mistake that I made. I learned at the end of the game. When capturing quarters of the table, insignificant models don't count for the sake of capturing. neither do models within 3 inches of the center of the table, and that's just a rule that I didn't catch on to until the end, so I kind of blew that one, but anyway, you'll see that at the end of the game. At this point, I've got all my gammon move forward, and Maltaire. I think with Ramos, you tried to summon. You tried to summon another arachnid, failed. You did that quite a lot this game. So moving on to turn 3 again. We haven't had any real combat at this point, but that's about to change. Let's see, I moved Rasputina forward, and seeing how Maltaire was going to be advancing between these two structures, I cast a second Ice Pillars right between them to block his advance. They are breakable, but they're 5 inches tall, impassable, line of sight blockers, so it's an effective slowdown tactic. And again, we didn't see where they expired anywhere, so I've still got my other two Ice Pillars still sitting here on the table. What did you do? You moved Ramos. I think you tried to summon something and failed again. Yeah, you tried to summon an electrical creation and failed. Where's your first electrical creation?
I think he blew up already.
Yeah, at some point he blew up.
He only did like.
Oh, that's right.
1 damage to the.
Yeah, the electrical creation at the beginning of each turn, it's got a half-life, so it takes a wound at the beginning of each activation, and it only has 3 wounds to start with. I wounded it. I did something with Raspy, didn't I? Maybe in the previous turn.
No, you actually.
Or the gammon. Somehow you lost it in 2 turns, so yeah, I had to do a wound to it at some point.
Because the first term I believe it's the first term I activated him after I summoned him.
That's right. So turn 3, you did activate him first turn. So as soon as he activated, he blew up. When he blows up, he does 2 damage within a 2-inch radius. And I think you did 1 damage to this gammon right here, right? So anyway, that's where the electrical creation went. I've moved my ice golem forward fully into this quarter of the table. And this is where, let's see, you used your executioner to you've got what, +2 melee expert? +1 melee expert, so you used a melee attack to bust through one of my. There you go. Yeah, in case you didn't hear that, he used his special melee action to bust through my ice pillar, and then he used his remaining 2 general action points to charge this gammon right. Where'd he go? He used. I will get good at this. He uses extra 2 general action points to charge this gammon, scored a hit, but was able to trigger an ability called Knock Aside, which just shoved him out of the way for 4 inches and then charge a second model in range. And so he used that to charge this gammon, and yeah, it brought him down near death. I don't know, he had like 1 or 2 wound points left at the end of that turn. This turn, Swarm moved in. I think I moved Raspy forward to begin attacking. I used what did I use? I used a couple of December's Curse. I used that freebie thing. What's that called? Something. I've got a 0. Yeah, whatever it's called. I've got a 0 point spell that I can use that I think I actually hit him with twice because it can automatically trigger my overpower, so I cast it twice, and then I used December's Curse on him and took another chunk out of him. So at this point, the Arachnid, Steampunk Arachnid Executioner is near death. Here you can see I marked this pillar with an X to indicate that it was broken, so it is severe terrain. However, except for Ramos himself, Maltaire's entire crew has the Arachnid ability, which means they ignore severe terrain, so yeah, there's Arachnids sneaking in behind his swarm. That's kind of the model eye view there. Here's where, let's see, I think I did all this. Yeah, it was the last turn with Raspy that I did all the damage to the Arachnid, and at this point I moved in with my Gammon and finished off your Executioner. When the Executioner dies, it drops 2 scrap tokens, or 2 scrap counters and a corpse counter, You can't see it very well in the camera shot, but these are more molded pieces of Sculpey. I've got a skull imprint on the top of that from a GW Tomb King piece that I just pressed into the clay before I baked it. And these, if they were exposed, you'd be able to see they look kind of like gears. They're actually pretty cool. Anyway, first death of the game, I killed the Executioner. Turn 4. Turn 4, you can see that more death has happened. Let's see, here's where the Executioner was killed. I used Raspy and her, with my first casting point, I used December's Curse, and I killed, what did I kill? Swarm killed Gammon. Gammon exploded.
No, Gammon did not explode.
Gammon does 2 damage when it busts. It explodes. So you took 1 damage because you have armor, and then I used December's Curse. Was this the turn that I got the back-to-back December's Curses? Because I immediately, yeah. So I used December's Curse. I think I got a severe wound on his Swarm, and then it immediately overpowered because it triggered Overpower. I got to cast it a second time immediately. Anyway, messed him up. Death is starting to happen on the table. This is where it starts to go bad for Maltaire. You can also see that at some point I've advanced this Gammon up to within base contact of my target structure, so I've achieved my scheme, which is still a secret to Maltaire, but obviously he caught on that something was up because this guy's all by himself on the far side of the table. Let's see. Maltaire finally was able to summon an electrical creation. Starts trying to move him around to damage me and try to blow it up to kill my Gammon. Here it is. He brought it around. He brought his electrical creation around the back of the building. What he was going to try to do, if he was able to bring the electrical creation in base-to-base contact, as soon as it touches me, it does 1 damage, and then when it dies, when it blows up, it does 2 more damage. So that, yeah. Plus he can self-destruct at any time he wants. So that damage would have been enough to kill that Gammon. However, you can see I've got my Ice Golem moving into position here, and in the next shot, next activation, you can see that his electrical creation is no more. I took it out, blew it up out of range, so it didn't do any damage to anything. And at this point, you can see I've got clear control of 3/4. Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot about the Arachnid. I don't have clear control of 3/4. Maltaire has Ramos and the Arachnid in the upper left corner, and I also have 2 models, so there's no clear majority there. But I do own the upper right and lower left quarters at this point. Let's see, moving on to turn 5. Let's see, you did a charge with your Arachnid. You charged my Gammon. Don't think you did any damage, did you? I think that bombed.
What I did was, I couldn't hurt you.
Yeah, I had some good cards in my hand at this point, so I cheated Fate and avoided any damage, but used that latch-on ability to lower his defenses.
I wanted you to lose some cards, so then
Yeah, I was just trying to burn my cards, because I was killing them with my use of Soul Stones and cheating Fate. And you can also see Ramos over here started to make his move to... actually, he was trying to use range spells in between these 2 buildings, so I decided to be a jerk and cast another pair of ice pillars here blocking his line of sight.
when the shot will take us back behind the building,
You're starting to.
so I can get at least close enough to where I can summon another creature.
Yep. Let's see, in this shot... Where's my Gammon? What'd you do to my Gammon? Oh, that's right, okay. He had his Arachnid here in the previous shot. He had his Arachnid right there in base contact with my Gammon. And in this shot, he had used Ramos' ability called Self-Destruct?
No,
Remote Detonation to cause the cause that Arachnid to blow up, and it took out my Gammon. I think I only had like 1 wound point left. At this point, I'm just starting to position myself for the win. You can see I'm moving into clear corners. What else did I do? I don't think anything else that turn.
I think you cast uh, December's Touch on.
Oh yeah,
Again.
yeah. I just put December's Touch on him to protect him, even though he's pretty safe where he was at. In this turn, again, just keeping myself in position for the win. All he has left is Ramos. This gammon, I just move him from that corner to the front of the structure, staying in base contact. And I took a pass move. Ramos tried a bunch of summons. He tried to summon an arachnid and failed. Then he tried to summon another electrical creation and failed. He likes to try to summon these things when he doesn't have the right cards in his hand to cheat fate. Moving on to turn 6, potentially the last turn. I'm just positioning myself for the win. Just to get the third quarter, I figured I didn't need my scheme anymore, so you can see that my gammon has moved away from the building, and he took a double move to get to the bottom left corner. When I say bottom left, it's bottom right in the photo, but bottom left from my position at the table. And Ramos, what did you do?
I had
Oh!
electrical creation that was able to summon.
All right, he summoned an electrical creation. This is another question we had. With Ramos behind the house, there's nothing we could see that said he needs line of sight to where he places a summoned creature. So Ramos was here behind the house. He summoned an electrical creation roughly here. And what I did was with Raspy, I summoned this new pair of ice pillars.
I originally moved over here.
That's right, you moved over here, and I summoned these ice pillars here, almost exactly 4 inches away from where he had summoned the electrical creation, and therefore he wouldn't be able to move his electrical creation into this quarter of the table. Really a moot point, because as we learned after the fact, the electrical creation was an insignificant spirit, so not capable of holding a quarter, and anyway, I prevented him from being able to move close enough to my gammon to blow up. What did I do? Shoot him with... I think I ended up blowing up the electrical creation with my ice golem. I scored a severe hit, which did 5 damage, took it out in 1 shot. At the end of turn 6, we flipped a queen, flipped a king to bring it to turn 7. Unfortunately for Ramos, everything he tried to do, he failed. He tried to summon an arachnid and failed, and 2 electrical creations, and he failed both of those. Whatever you tried to do, you failed. That's the point. You're a failure. That's the point I was trying to make, is that you are a failure. Now, this is where I won, but not really. I just took all my turns to move all 3 of my models to clear quarters. You can see I clearly control these 3 quarters of the board. What I didn't catch on to at the time, again, I think I said at the beginning of this video, is that insignificant models don't count for a quarter capture, and models within 3 inches of the center of the table don't count. So, if you want to be picky, Maltair could whine and say I didn't really win the game, but with all 3 of these models, I had plenty of movement left over at the end of this turn. I could have moved them 3 inches away and clear win. This is the way the table looked at the end of the game, with me controlling 3 quarters and poor Ramos off the screen somewhere over here to the left. So that's it. First battle report, first video report. Thanks for listening to me babble for 10 or 15 minutes, however that long that took. Again, if you have any constructive criticism or correct anything that we did wrong during the game, we'd appreciate the input. We want to get this right and be able to take the game into a store sometime and maybe play in some leagues or tournaments. Real fun game. Been collecting these models for a few weeks now. Really enjoy the fluff in the books, and it was good to finally get it going on the table. So again, this is Draz, here with my son Maltair. 25 Soul Stone game, and appreciate you listening, and we'll catch you next time.